So, you finally hit level 50, but this is when the game really starts. If you want to learn how to dominate the endgame by understanding how to gear up quickly and what of the activities to do first when you hit level 50, then stick around in this video and I'll tell you. Let's dive in. Before diving into what you should be doing next, let's quickly go over the important currencies you need to manage at this stage of the game. First of all, contract rights. These are essential for taking on contracts from NPCs. Completing these contracts will be key for your daily and weekly activities. Number 2. Dimensional contract tokens. These tokens are vital for claiming rewards after defeating bosses in co-op dungeons. They offer you some of the best chances to gear up efficiently, so make sure you're making the most of them. Number 3. Abyssal contract tokens. You'll use these tokens to obtain loot from mobs in open world dungeons. These dungeons are packed with mobs that drop gear, skill book materials and resources that will help you progress further. And the last one is the limited purchase items. Finally, you need to carefully manage your daily and weekly purchase limits on certain items. This includes equipment, upgrade materials, and other consumables for your progression. So, now that we know the different currencies you'll have to manage at late game, let's dive deeper into how each one impacts your progression, starting with contract rights. Contract rights are your gateway to taking on contracts from the NPCs, and they are one of the most reliable ways to gather the upgrade materials you need for your gear and weapons. These contracts also provide you with opportunities to obtain item pouches as your rewards, which can be very valuable. There are 3 high-level locations that offer the best possible rewards, and they are Canina Village, which gives you contract quests based in Grey Claw Forest. Pure Light Tower, which you'll find contract quests taking you to Shattered Temples and Pure Light Hill. And finally, my favourite, Watcher's Post, which provides you contract quests for both Ruins of Terrain and Phonos Basin. Now here's my recommendation. When you're looking to maximize your progress, it's best to focus on upgrading your weapon first. So whenever you're choosing your rewards, aim for the red crystals known as rare Rubik's ore, as well as those rare polish crystals. These are essential for weapon growth and will help you level up quickly. Also, anytime you get chance to pick up an equipment pouch as a reward, I highly recommend you go for them as they're incredibly useful. Here's a pro tip that will make your grinding a lot more efficient. Always try to pick up contract quests that are located in the same zone. This way you'll be able to complete multiple contracts simultaneously. For example, if you're picking up contracts in Phonos Basin, you'll find that many of the objectives overlap with each other. This means you can knock out several quests at once, saving you loads of time. Lastly, let's talk about managing your daily contract rights. Every day you'll receive 10 contract rights, and you can collect these up to a maximum of 60. This means you have the options to save them and tackle all of the contracts in one go if that suits your playstyle. But one important thing to keep in mind is that you won't have the additional 10 contract rights if you have more than 60 stored up. However, there is a little trick to maximize your rights. You can reach a total of 69 contract rights if you make sure you have 59 just before the daily reset. Next up, let's talk about dimensional contract tokens. These tokens are essential for redeeming rewards at the end of 6-man co-op dungeons, and on launch, we expect there to be 6 Tier 1 co-op dungeons available. These dungeons are Death's Abyss, Cursed Wasteland, Temple of Slaughter, Butcher's Canyon, Tyrant's Isle, and Cave of Destruction. Each of these dungeons has a chance to drop blue and purple gear when you open the chest at the end. Let's highlight a few special drops from these dungeons. For example, Death's Abyss. If you're a tank, keep an eye out for the Karnix Neversword, which is considered the best in slot sword and shield weapon. Healers will want to look out for the Transcendental Saint Raimund's, a tier 1 chest piece that's an excellent addition to their gear. Tyrant's Isle. This dungeon drops the Troublix Staff Bow, making it the best in slot bow for bow users. You can also find the Grand General's Unbeaten Armor here, so if you're a tank, you'll want this armor set. Cave of Destruction. In this dungeon, dagger users will want to hunt for the Query's Thorny Edge, one of the best endgame daggers. Wand users will want to look for Liquirius Scripts, which is one of the greater wand options. Lastly, the Beast King's Gilded Braces are an excellent best in slot bracelet for a variety of weapon builds. Now, each time you open a chest at the end of the dungeon, it's going to cost you 300 dimensional contract tokens. Because of this cost, it's crucial to figure out which dungeon and loot chests are most beneficial for your build and the gears it needs. So, how do you earn these tokens? Every day, at the reset point, you'll receive 900 dimensional contract tokens, and you can accumulate up to a maximum of 4,500. But remember, you can't exceed that 4,500 limit, so make sure you're spending these resources regularly or it will go to waste. Since this is one of the most reliable ways to obtain gear, missing out on this could see you fall seriously behind. As for participation in these dungeons, you have a few options. You can create your own static party of 6, usually consisting of 1 tank, 1 healer and 4 DPS. You can also use the matchmaking system where you can select one of those 3 roles and you can join a matchmaking queue. Lastly, if you want more control on who joins your party, you can use the party board to invite specific members to tackle the dungeon with you. Now, let's talk about the Abyssal contract tokens. These tokens are essential for claiming loot on mobs in the open world dungeons. As the name suggests, these dungeons are open to everyone, and anyone can enter at any time to kill those mobs that spawn. Because the mobs in the area are quite challenging, it's highly recommended to party up with a few other players to farm efficiently. On launch, we can expect more and more of these open world dungeons to become available over time. Initially, players will have access to the following dungeons: Silas Abyss, Ant's Nest, Temple of Salaveth, Sanctum of Desire, and Shadow Crypt. The rate at which these open world dungeons open will depend on when the servers reach the milestones. The dungeons don't open all at once, and each floor will open over time depending on when milestones are reached. Inside these dungeons, by killing specific mobs, you'll be able to farm essential items like gear, upgrade materials, skill books, and Solent. All of these are crucial for progressing your gear and skills, making this a vital part of the endgame content. So, how do you earn Abyssal contract tokens? You can gain them through several methods. Number 1. NPC contracts. By completing these contracts, you earn around 50 Abyssal tokens per contract. 6-man co-op dungeons. Each time you complete one of these dungeons, you receive 500 Abyssal tokens as rewards. One important thing to note is that you can hold a maximum of 20,000 Abyssal tokens at any given time. Any tokens earned beyond that cap will be wasted, so make sure you spend them regularly before completing activities that generate tokens. Another tip is that you can actually receive Abyssal contract tokens through items that you get in your inventory. So as you go into the open world dungeons and you start using the currency, as you get lower, you can use these items to top yourself up so you can continue farming these dungeons. Lastly, there are special contracts you can acquire from either rewards or purchasing them from NPCs. These special contracts can only be completed in the open world dungeon, and when completed, they reward you with fantastic loot, so make sure you keep an eye out for these. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to check in with the Sundries Merchant, Guild Merchant and Contract Coin Merchant for their daily and weekly limited time items. These merchants often have items that are capped by time, meaning they're only available in that limited quantity for that short period. Make sure you're purchasing all these items to avoid missing out on valuable resources. Next up, let's talk about cooking. Cooking is a fantastic way to gain significant stat buffs for your character. You can stack up to 3 food buffs simultaneously, meaning you can boost your attack, defense and utility stats all at once in addition to the stats you get from your gear. If you're aiming to be competitive in the endgame, having high level cooking skill is an absolute essential. Now, here's another tip. If you manage to achieve greater success when cooking a dish, you can sell that dish in the auction house, which is an excellent way to earn Lucent, which is the premium cash shop currency. It's a reliable income stream, especially if you become known for producing top tier dishes. But cooking isn't just about whipping up food, it's also tied to fishing. Some dishes require fishes as ingredients, so leveling up your fishing skill will enable you to catch rarer fish, which means you'll be able to craft even better quality foods. Don't overlook fishing, it's an essential skill that complements cooking perfectly. And lastly, I want to remind you to simply have fun. The game has plenty of events happening throughout the day, whether it's PvP battles or PvE challenges. Make sure you jump in and experience everything that Throne of Liberty has to offer. It's a great way to immerse yourself in the game world and connect with other players. And of course, if you manage to score high in these events and snag some awesome loot, well, that's just an added bonus. So go out there, participate, and make the most out of your journey at max level. So, if you found this video useful or you found any of this entertaining, then give this video a like and follow my channel. Look to see you next time.